What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Talking Elite Fitness. I'm Sean Woodland, joined by Tommy Marquez. Tommy, how you doing?
I am good. I'm very sore from the NorCal Classic qualifiers, but in good spirits.
Good for you. And also Lauren Khalil. Lauren, how you doing? How's the temperature there now? Let's do our regular temperature check-in with Lauren Khalil. You're in a short sleeve shirt in your house, so it looks like it's summer.
It's 39 degrees out. We're almost breaking 40. It's a heat wave.
That is sunbathing weather right there. 39. There you go. Heat waves. Okay.
The snow in my backyard is melted.
That's fantastic. Well, congratulations. I'm glad you're experiencing a warmer day. It's nice and sunny here today. I think we're in the 50s, maybe high 50s. So,
yeah.
Okay. Not bad. We got a busy show today. We have a great conversation that Lauren had with Emma Lawson. We'll get to that in a second. And we want to talk about just open registration. There's a great article on Morning Chalk Up right now, written by a friend of the show, Mike Halpin. I've extolled his virtues before. He's helped us out on the broadcast at various events. Guy's great, and did a really good job of breaking down open registration, and it's really complete. So I will, if you're watching this, I'm going to throw it up on the screen here. And again, this is on Morning Chalk Up.
It's called the Open Report Week 1.
Yeah. So let's talk about it. So it's pretty detailed. I'm going to scroll down here because the thing that jumps out to me, you can see the open registration numbers from year to year. He's got a cool bar graph there.
Love a good bar graph.
A good bar graph just tells a nice story.
Thank you, Mike Halpin.
And it's really, what's cool. What the thing is like there's two very distinct sections here. There's the inception of the open in 2011 to its height in 2018. And then you see the 19 is a transition year. And then 2020 to 2023 is where it starts to mirror what you saw in 2011 and on. It's kind of up and to the right. So that's the first thing that you notice.
And I will put one note. You can, if you just drew a line between the tops of the bar graphs, you can see a very distinct difference in the slope of that upward trend too.
Yes, we are. And we'll get to that in a second. Open registration numbers with percent change year over year. You can see that. We have been expanding since 2021 at pretty much an average of 10%.
Yep.
Back of the napkin math. Now 17 days into registration and 35 days until the open begins. But this is the thing that I think, this is where my eyebrow raised a little bit. This is the past 7-day comparison year over year. Okay. So they took the same time period because registration has started. Let me make sure I'm getting this correct. Registration started at different times year over year.
Yes.
But they're just looking at this time period where we are right now. So in the calendar, right?
Yeah.
We're looking at January 18th to the 24th. What those 7 days look like.
Yep.
Okay. Right now, at the end of the 7 days, January 24th is the last numbers that Mike has put on here. We have 70,609 people registered.
Mm-hmm.
In 2023, over this last 7-day period, we had more than 100,000. So almost 102,000.
Mm-hmm.
2022 was 38,000. But the caveat there is that in 2023, at this point, registration had been open longer.
Yes, registration opened in way back before Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
And there's there's a note there underneath that graph that Mike includes. There was an incentive from Noble if you registered prior to December 31st. I think it involved like a shirt or $25 some sort of
gift card
giveaway. Yep. So there was a bigger push early on to get registrations before the I guess the new year or end of the. I'm not sure how if CrossFit still operates on a calendar year or the fiscal year. But what's interesting to note is that while it's lagging by about 31,000 compared to 2023, when placed on when compared to 2022, when registration opens at a similar timeline, it's almost 33,000 ahead of 2022. Now, and this is where I think you start to get into the weeds a little bit, but it's important to note because Sean, I know you were maybe a little not alarmed, but was like, oh,
yeah, at first glance,
yes,
like, uh-oh.
We're 30, we're behind 2023. Well, the gap in the growth, the total growth from 2022 to 2023, when everything was said and done, was just under 10%, about 9.9%. I think I want to say if I look up, which was just a smidge under 30,000 total registrants, about 29,200, I want to say. If you look at this time, the gap between those two was 63,000, 64,000. So in that time frame, 2022 closed the gap from now until the end of the Open by about 30,000. So while there was a big rush and a bigger number early, the total pace gain between now and the Open lagged relative to 2022 last year. So you can think at this stage of the game, 2023 was way ahead of 2022, right? But even though 2023 still finished ahead, 2022 closed the gap in the remaining time between now and the Open.
And there wasn't as much time to register in 2022. It was a more compact time period like we're dealing with now.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think you take those two numbers in conjunction, and I know some people's eyes are probably rolling in the back of their head at this point, but I think it's important to note where the potential areas of growth are, where the contextual factors are that make this particularly effective in the weeks to come.
Yes.
Because if we start to see that gap narrow in a similar fashion, the way that 2022 did, all relative to last year, then we could maybe put ourselves back on that growth factor as far as like keeping that 10% going. And this is all awesome stuff too. If you keep going, he breaks it down by region, what the cut line will look like relative to the 10% cut line last year, which is great.
Well, and sorry to jump in here, but as you look at, you go down after that, top 10 affiliates, and this is the good news here. I think if I'm CrossFit, right now the top eight of the top 10 affiliates are outside of the United States.
Top three,
the
Brazil.
Top three are in Brazil.
Superforce CrossFit 296.
That's
dang.
That's great.
That's
that
awesome.
Is, you look at that and you know that's something that I think that you can celebrate. He has age group divisions in here, so just want to give Mike Halpin a shout out. Good job, man.
Can you imagine Superforce CrossFit looks like on Friday Night Lights?
That's crazy.
It's going to be a festa down there. It's a party in Portuguese for all my non-Brazilian friends.
I'm scrolling. I know everybody can see this, but it's
and it says that Mike Halpin will monitor this on a daily check-in and on his Instagram, known_knowable. So if this is something that you want to keep up with, you can follow his updates on Instagram.
I mean, look at these. I mean, it's still early, right? But all of these affiliates are in the neighborhood of 100 registrants already. You have Brazil, the UK, Canada, Slovakia, France. It's great.
Yeah.
I want somebody to do a feature on what are they doing that's different to get that many people registered for the Open.
I'll venture.
I'm curious
a guess
what the strategy is.
I don't know if so much of a strategy as it's the growth in some of these countries has lagged behind the United States. And I think if you look at the trajectory of growth up in that the top graph from 2011 to 2018, I think South America was more or less just starting to kind of come online in a big way around the end of that.
Yeah, and I think that passion and fervor from the early discovery and the early the early years of the methodology and the community taking foot there is still very much alive. I think back to 2019 when we went down for the Brazil CrossFit Championship and talking to Sean Sweeney and being like, dude, this place is a powder keg.
Even
just
that
waiting to blow.
Open announcement we had
2018.
Open 2018 was incredible for an Open announcement. It was that was a spectacle.
It was an eye opener,
and you could tell then like that's, and I would agree with Sean Sweeney. So that would be my theory. It's just that the growth down there that we saw about 10 years ago here is now just catching up.
And you look at the top U.S. affiliate, CrossFit Roots. Shout out Nicole Christensen and that crew in Boulder. But that's a long established gym. Going to bat against some of these younger gyms, these newer gyms, and I think it's representative of the shift that we've seen internationally for sure.
But this is certainly something to keep an eye on. We just wanted to show it because I think Halpin's put in some great work. I will be forever indebted for that guy for 2 years ago saving me at Wadapalooza when we were doing the max rep thing, and he had this shared document that he was down there putting weights into is fantastic. So go check that out. It's on Morning Chalk Up. And we'll definitely keep an eye. And have you registered yet?
I have not.
I haven't either. So you got 2 coming.
Come on, guys.
I got to get on it.
you just plan for those 2.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So you're welcome. Yeah. Give you a little bump
Your
there
contribution.
in the next couple of days. So, all right. Next thing we want to get to is Emma Lawson. And she joined Lauren earlier today for a conversation. And I thought it was fantastic. I'm always impressed when I hear from Emma Lawson because of just the maturity level that she exhibits at such a young age. And Lauren dives into that a little bit, also talks about her expectations for 2024, how she stays grounded, where that confidence comes from, how she and Jack kind of work training together and not let that infect the personal side of the relationship, because sometimes that can be a little tricky. So without further ado, here is Lauren Khalil's conversation with Emma Lawson.
Now we're going to welcome the second fittest woman on earth, Emma Lawson. Welcome, right off the heels of WAPA.
Yeah. No, I've caught up on sleep and everything. Back to routine now. So yeah.
And kind of speaking to that routine, WAPA was different for you this year. You weren't competing, but I felt like every time I looked on social media, you were still working and hustling, but in a different way for an athlete. Can you kind of talk about what your experience was like, what you were up to?
Yeah, it was really fun. Like, yeah, it's very different than when you're competing. Because when I am competing, I don't think I'm very social. Not that I'm trying to not be social, but you're just focused on what you're there to do. So yeah, this was definitely a new experience for me and a different experience, but I really enjoyed it. It was a different kind of tiring and stress and busy, but yeah, I had something on the go almost every day with sponsors and stuff, and I was able to interact a lot with like the people there and spectators. So I thought that was really fun. I've never really had the opportunity to do that at a competition before because, like I said, I'm focused on competing. But yeah, this was really nice to do that.
As you should be. When you're at a competition, it is your job and you are there to compete. But it's cool because I have been able to now see you in this somewhat other role, even when we look back at Fit Fest, which
Mhm.
there wasn't a lot on the line. Yes, you were competing, but you were able to interact with fans similar to how you could at WAPA. How has that whole experience been like, especially now being recognized as the second fittest woman on earth, a podium placement at Rogue? I mean, it probably is a different situation than you might have felt last year.
Yeah, definitely. It is. I mean, it's really, really cool to go out at a CrossFit event. And even I've had experiences like outside of CrossFit events where someone will recognize me. And it's honestly just like, I will never get used to it. It's just something that it's really crazy. And I think it's really cool that people do come up to me and like tell me like, hey, I'm a huge fan of you. Like that means a lot to me too. And I really appreciate that. So yeah, it's really cool.
Do you remember the first moment that somebody came up to you, recognized you, asked for a picture or autograph, and what did that feel like for the first time?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, like, cause like I was that person that like would go up to the other athletes and be like, oh my God, can I get a picture? So, I never thought that I would be on the other side of that. So I think the first time that that happened, it was kind of like, whoa, what is happening? This is cool. Yeah, no, yeah.
Has there been like a moment that has just been so rewarding? I know that there's probably so many younger kids, younger girls that look up to you because as a teen athlete now competing against the big dogs and standing on the podium, what does that feel like?
I mean, yeah, it's really cool to also have the younger like teen competitors come up to me and I like acknowledge that as well. At Wadapalooza, I went and I watched the teenage division just because that was my first big competition. So yeah, it just brought back all the memories, and I love watching the teen division. It's really impressive what people can do at that age as well. So, and I remember this girl afterwards came up and asked to take a picture, and I was like, yeah, of course. And I was like, oh, like I watched you earlier. You did really great in this event. And she's like, oh my God, you were there watching. And I was like, yeah, you did awesome. She's like, oh, thanks. But it was just really cool to see like her facial expression and excitement and stuff, because again, like I said, it totally brings me back to when I was 13 and just starting out with that too. So it's pretty cool.
You have so much on your plate between, being a professional athlete, your sponsorship obligations. I can't remember. Did you graduate high school yet?
Yeah, I did in June.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
congratulations. I don't
Thank
know that
you.
we've really spoken about it since then. Did you go to your
Yeah.
graduation?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it was fun.
And
But yeah,
now,
sorry, go ahead.
no, keep going.
No, I was just gonna say this has been the first season, like starting September, where I haven't been to school with training and stuff, so it's been different.
Has there been any shift of mindset or having to reprioritize, or what are you going to fill in some of that extra time that would have been dedicated to studying, schoolwork, even a little bit of just being a high schooler and having that social life?
hmm I was very nervous coming into the season, like September, like school season, I guess, just because I was so used to being busy, like having something to do every single second of the day. And it was definitely an adjustment at first. I was very much happy with how much time I had, and then I would end up like sleeping in every day, and then I wouldn't start my first session until like 11, and then I feel rushed for no reason, but like then I would end training really late, and I was just like all over the place, and I was like, I need to get back to some sort of routine because although this is nice, like I am a routine person. I like to have my routine. So it was like a few weeks of that, and then I like was like, okay, no, like I need to have some structure here. So yeah, it took some time to get used to. I'm actually quite surprised. I don't feel like I have, like now I'm thinking, how did I like have time to do all of that extra schoolwork? I guess I was managing my time well at that point, but yeah, I honestly just feel way less stressed overall.
Mm.
And I can use the, I guess, extra time to focus on the smaller parts of training, like, other accessory work and other drills, body health things that maybe I wasn't taking the time to do in the past. And I was just like skipping over them because I had other things to do. And I definitely am taking more time to do the recovery aspect of things as well, which is my body's thanking me for that. So yeah, it's been different. It's now I feel like I've been wanting this for so long. I've been wanting to have like not be in school, and now that I have it, I'm kind of like, okay, like what's next? Like I feel like I should be busier. So I don't know, that's something to think about for the next little bit. But in terms of like social life, I definitely feel like I'm able to say yes to a lot more things because I do have the extra time. So that's really nice for me as well.
Do you have a lot of friends that are or have at this point moved away and gone to college?
Yeah, actually almost my whole friend group from high school, I mean, not really. Some of them aren't that far, but between their school schedules and sometimes like when I'm training, it's hard to coordinate, and yeah, they're super busy with their classes. Um, but I have a good group of friends now at the gym. Not now. Like I have a good group of friends at the gym, which is nice. So yeah, I can when my friends are down for the weekend, like from high school, or when they come back for Christmas or other like reading weeks and stuff, it's good to see them then.
How has that adjustment been like for you? Because you're out here living what I imagine is one of your biggest dreams. You're doing
hmm
exactly what you've been waiting to do, but I can imagine that with that comes a little bit of, I don't know if it's FOMO or just like being in a different place than your friends who are going off to college. You're here as a professional athlete. What has the like mindset or maybe even emotions that you've gone through with like being at that stage in your life?
Yeah, I mean, it is very different because when I do look at most other people my age, they are in university and it's their first year in university, and it looks like all fun and you're meeting so many new people and all of these different things. And I have actually been reflecting on that a little bit more. I went to visit one of my friends at her dorm, and so I feel like I got, for that one night, like just a little bit
You
of
got a
the
taste.
university experience. And it was really fun, but when I was thinking about like my lifestyle and how I like to be in bed at a good time. I like to make sure I have a good sleep. I like having my own like time, like just by myself, my alone time, and there was really none of any of that. And so it was fun for the night, and I can see how it would be very fun, but something a little more long term, I'm not sure that would be what I would want. And not to say that when you're in university you have to stay in residence, like you don't need to do that, but I always thought that I would, if I went to school and maybe I wasn't doing this, that in another lifetime I was like, yeah, like I would like to do that. But now I'm like, it kind of puts me at ease a little bit to know that like I'm okay doing what I'm doing. And I also like I've been able to do so much traveling recently, which like, well, so much for me. It's a lot of traveling that for what I'm used to.
You've been on the road a lot.
Yeah. Which is really, really nice. I do like to have changes of scenery. And yeah, it's been really cool to go to different places. And yeah, I think it's cool that I'm able to do that.
What has
As
been
long
the
as there's a
favorite?
gym wherever I go, I'm good.
What has been your favorite place that you've visited so far?
Well, I did really like going to the UK. That was the biggest like new
Mm.
place. Actually, I did go to Alberta in September.
Ooh.
And I've been wanting to go there for so long, and I like to be in the outdoors, so that's like a really outdoorsy person kind of place. But yeah, I'd say that was up there for me. I wish when I was in the UK that I could have done a little bit more outside of just the event, but we weren't there for long enough,
Okay, so
unfortunately.
you didn't take any time to like go to London and do all the touristy
No,
things?
yeah, I
Bummer.
know.
Next
I would
year.
have loved to. I feel like we went so far to not do a lot of the cool things to do there, but the event itself was cool, so that was nice.
If you could move anywhere in the world and money wasn't a factor, like you could bring all of your friends and loved ones and Jack with you, where
Yeah.
would it be?
That's a really good question. I don't know. Like my ideal, like if I could think about how I would want to live in a perfect world, I want to have my own property, like a decent amount of like property. I don't want to live in the city. I want to
Mhm.
live like
Me either.
not too far in the middle of nowhere. Like I need to have access to a grocery store that's kind of close and things like that. But yeah, I don't know. I've been thinking about that a lot recently, to be honest.
Oh.
And I haven't really settled on a place yet, or just yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know.
Staying in the back of your mind,
Yeah,
making
it's
a
always in
list
the
as you
back of my mind.
travel.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe in one of your adventures in the next year, you'll land on a place or at least see something that could potentially fit your lifestyle. But
Yeah.
looking at this upcoming season, the second fittest woman on earth, while you were still in high school studying, we talk about having all of this extra time now to dial in and focus on maybe some of those uh, weaknesses or things that couldn't have been a priority before. Do you
Mhm.
feel like there is pressure knowing how well you performed at the games last year, knowing you were on the podium, and now you will have more time to technically like dedicate to being even better?
Mhm. Sometimes I do think I put that extra bit of pressure on myself just because like yeah, this is what I'm doing now. This is like, I have nothing else at the moment to like fall back onto. So that definitely does add a bit more pressure to my training as well, which I'm trying to manage as well. But yeah, I'm just more so trying to enjoy the process and just keep in mind that whatever happens, happens. And like in the past few years, I know that like if I'm doing everything that I can, like I'm sure things will work out in the end. So
When balancing, whether it's pressure from yourself or pressure externally, is there like something that you found helpful to really bring yourself back home and make you feel like I can take a deep breath? I know I'm doing the right things, whether it's therapy, whether it's a support system, whether it's doing something completely outside of CrossFit or even a combination?
yeah, I'm really lucky to have a really great support system around me between my family, my coach, Jack, my friends, like everybody. So yeah, it's really nice to have those people to fall back on as well. And in times like that, I do like to like remove myself from like being in CrossFit in the CrossFit space just to allow me to realize like there is more to what I'm doing than just me being an athlete. So that's a nice reminder.
Is there less pressure knowing that from the open to quarterfinals, it's only 25 or it's as much as 25% going on? Like, has your training been any different or will it be any different in the lead up?
I don't think it'll be any different, but it is a nice like thing to keep in mind, keep you a little more at ease. But yeah, no, I don't think my training will change because of that.
Any thoughts surrounding the new location of the games? I know that that's kind of looking far out in advance, but just as you look through the whole season, like any thoughts surrounding that, any things you're excited about?
Yeah, so I mean, I've only ever been to the games. My first year at going to the games was in 2019 as a teenager, and it was in Madison then. So I've only ever like been to the games in Madison. So it will definitely be a little bit different. It's really nice like in the last few years, I think just because I knew the venue and I was familiar with the whole environment, it made things maybe a little bit less stressful. But yeah, I mean, everybody's going to be in the same boat again this year. It's a new place for everybody. But I have heard, I can't remember what I heard someone say the percentage was, but I think a
Oh yeah,
lot
like
more of the
90 or
events.
95% inside.
Yeah, yeah. And I love the outdoor events. So that makes me a little bit sad. But I'm sure like the games always has cool things, so I'm sure they'll have many other cool things. But yeah, the field events were like some of my favorite events. But
S-
it'll just be different.
So you say like the outdoor events are some of your favorite. Is that
Yeah.
exclusive to like biking, trail
Mm.
run, or like if you could program your favorite workout outside, what would it be?
Well, I love biking. I think biking would definitely have to be in it. Yeah, what else? I like rope climbs. Maybe something, well, maybe not in the same workout, but I like the rings. I just like the diversity that being outside kind of gives. Like when we were doing a ring muscle up workout and like the wind is blowing your rings, like just things like that that you just kind of have to deal with and like figure out on the fly kind of thing. Yeah, they're just very, I don't know, I feel like those outdoor events just show you how or force you to be more aware of your surroundings and comfortable with things that maybe you wouldn't be. So yeah.
Have you always been comfortable in adversity and things that are changing on the fly, or is that something you picked up like as you train in CrossFit?
Yeah, no, it's definitely something I'm still trying to work on. Sometimes in training, if something doesn't go the way that I thought about it would probably go, or I thought that it would go, I get all like, oh, that's not supposed to happen. Like I get like that. I'm that kind of person. But yeah, I don't know. I just think it's a cool thing. But yeah, it's definitely something I'm trying to work on more.
So obviously, you and Jack are an item. You both compete at the highest level. What is that dynamic like, whether it's at semifinals, at the games, at an off-season competition? Because you talk to so many people who have seen success in CrossFit and even other sports, and they talk about, I mean, you even spoke about the support system and how you can rely on your significant other. But with you and Jack both in your own division competing essentially for the same thing, like, is there something that at the end of the night when you guys come together that you can joke about that's outside of CrossFit? Or do you recap the day together? Or like, how do you find comfort in each other when you're both working, I guess?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good question. I don't know. We found a way to work through it so far. But yeah, typically throughout the day, our coach Josh will hang out with me, and then Jack's brother-in-law will like typically be his like coach. So we don't really see each other a lot throughout the day. So it'll be like sometimes in the evening or just like quick times throughout the day that we'll see each other, but we really try to not let our emotions kind of like, if I'm feeling upset, I don't want him to feel sorry for me because I had a bad workout, and then like vice versa, because I don't want that to affect now his performance if he's about to go, and same thing. So yeah, I think like we have like we'll hang out maybe in the evening. Um but yeah, we try like we'll talk about our good stuff and maybe talk about the things that didn't go as good, but yeah, at the end of the day, at those times, I think we will lean the most on, say, like I will lean the most on like my parents or my coach or something, and he'll have like his family or something else to. And then, of course, by the end of the competition, we can talk about those things. But in the moment, we really just try to focus on ourselves.
Did
Yeah.
you tell me that Jack is one of 9?
Yeah, he is.
Do all of his 8 other siblings come to like the CrossFit Games or other competitions?
I don't know if all 8 of them came to the games. A lot of them are also married with kids too, so there's like a big
That's a lot
family,
of
which is
people.
yeah, it's awesome. But they are like so incredibly supportive of him, and it's really cool to see. A lot of them did make it to the games this year, so that was really cool. They loved it. But yeah, it's awesome.
That's such a cool experience, especially because
Yeah.
that kinda gives you, like, a whole other baked in support system,
Oh,
like,
totally.
whether you know
Yeah.
it or not.
Yeah. No, they've been super supportive of me too. It's awesome. His niece made me this really cute thing for Christmas. It says, it's just like a sign on a little board, and it just says "Run fast." And so I have it in my
Oh, I just
garage.
got chills.
It's my it's my little motivation for when I work out. It's really cute. She painted it, and it's nice.
Does she ever and, like, his other siblings, like, work out with you guys? Do you ever do, like, fun little family, like, fitness together?
Yeah, his family definitely does that a lot. I try to be involved with it when I can, but there have been a few times where, yeah, some of us will work out together, and that's really fun.
Where do you plan to do the open workouts? Like, do you have an affiliate that you really wanna, like, drop into to do them with? Will you do them on your own? What's the dynamic like for that?
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't thought too much about that, but I will probably I'm thinking that I don't wanna I do too much traveling anytime. Like now that we're
That's
in
fair.
season, definitely takes a toll on me. Um, but yeah, I'll probably just stay at like my affiliate, CrossFit PSC, that I train at all the time. So yeah, I'll probably be there.
Do they do a big Friday night lights, or what's the environment like?
Yeah. Yeah, they do. So it's really cool. Friday night, yeah, lots of people are coming in. They're running heats and stuff. So it's pretty, yeah. Friday Night Lights is always fun.
I know. I love it too because a lot of the time it gives you an opportunity to maybe meet members that like if you're going to 5:30 a.m., you're never going to see people at 5:30 p.m.
It's
and
true,
getting them.
yeah.
Yeah. And then it's like, wait, do you go here? Do you go here? We both go here. It's so fun.
That is true. Yeah, honestly, because I typically go in the afternoons and Jack always goes in the morning. So he sees a lot. Well, he goes morning and afternoon, but I don't know a lot of, or I haven't sometimes the people in the morning. So it's cool to then see them in the evening if they're coming to that.
So before we get to the 2024 season, just looking at the season we just had, 2 podium finishes, is there like a biggest takeaway that you have that's kind of pushing you and having that little carrot driving you into the next season?
Well, I know that my going into the season last year, my biggest weakness was my strength. Or sorry, coming off of what year was we just had 2020 coming off
Yes,
the
I know. It's like,
2022
where are
season.
we?
Sorry. Coming off the
I'm the same.
2022 season. Yes, sorry. That's what
Into
I meant to say.
2023.
Yes, I knew that my biggest weakness was my strength, and I was able to like work on that a lot and then see it pay off. So I think it's
Mhm.
nice to know that, you know, the things that I have been working on and are wanting to improve at, and I have been spending a lot of time doing them, that I am starting to see them pay off, which is um motivating. And yeah, honestly, I'm still just working on my strength. I think that'll be something that I'll always have to just keep working on. But yeah, I think it's just nice to like doing rogue and off-season competitions is a nice check-in to see kind of where you're at. And I think rogue was definitely a good indicator that I'll be on the right track coming into the season. So yeah.
I think I already know the answer, but I want to hear your take on this. What was the most rewarding experience for you? Was it finishing second at the CrossFit Games or finishing third with Tia in the field at Rogue?
That's a tough question. What was more rewarding?
Yeah, or what do you feel like most proud of?
I don't know if I could pick one, to be honest. I think like, well, I mean, at the CrossFit Games, I was up against the fittest people in the world, and then same at Rogue. And I mean, I don't know. I just remember being extremely proud after both of them. Yeah, I'm not sure I could pick.
But I mean and that in itself kind of talks to you as a person because you are so humble.
Oh.
I mean, it doesn't matter what question I ask you, your response, I'm always just like, oh, wow, like she is so pleasant. She is such a pleasure to talk to.
Well, thank
And
you.
but truthfully, you carry this like grace about you. And there's so much confidence that I can see out of you. And seeing you stand on the podium twice, I mean, it really just speaks to your character. And is that something that you've had to learn? Is it something that you've developed? Have you always been that way, like with sports or whatever growing up?
Sorry, can you repeat that question one more time? I didn't
Yeah,
mean
I'm
to.
just wondering where you get like your confidence in the way that you
Oh.
carry yourself because you look so
Mhm.
confident and everything looks so graceful about you. Have you always been that way or has it been like a transition?
I don't know. I don't know that I've ever like when I was younger, I don't know that I was really aware of that. I guess I was just that way, but sometimes the more that people would see that behavior, like my parents would say things about it like, "Oh, it's nice to see that you're I don't know, like this." And I don't know. I guess I've just always I guess I've just always been that way.
Well, and that's good, especially that like it's not something that you have to really think about. It's just who you are. leading now into the 2024 season, what are some of the biggest priorities that you're going to be working on? I know you said like strength was huge, but is that something that is still like top of the list, or what are some of the other things?
I think that's definitely still top of the list, but in terms of like the mental side of things, I think I just like I definitely think in all sports the mental side of things is the biggest, it's the hardest part really in my opinion. So I'm just always trying to work on being confident because sometimes I tend to talk down to myself a lot, and when you're in a big competition and you're doing that, it's not very helpful or productive. So, yeah, I'm just really trying to like not be comparing myself to other people and bringing myself down that way. I think I'm just really trying to focus on like my journey and staying in like my own lane and doing everything I'm in control of. I think that's going to be the biggest thing for the season. And now now especially like in past years, like I said, when I was in school and stuff, I didn't have a lot of time to like sit down and just like think about things, whereas now I have that extra time. And so I was really nervous that I was going to have too much time and I'd have a lot of time to think about my training and how things could have went better in it, but like not in a productive way, like just things that I can't change and not thinking about, okay, well, how can I fix that moving forward? So yeah, I think that's my biggest thing for this season.
So knowing how much success, and success can mean so many different things to different people, but just knowing that, like, truthfully, you had such a successful year last year, what will it take in order for you to leave the 2024 season feeling like, yeah, that was a success for me?
I mean, it's nice to think of a placing goal, but that's not always realistic. I think that knowing that I'm doing everything I can on a daily basis, like my training, sleep, recovery, like all of those things, if I know that I did everything I possibly could have by the end of the games, I think no matter what, I'll be proud.
Well, we're all proud of you. We're cheering for you. I will never forget Brent Fikowski. I'm pretty sure it was an Instagram post, but I also spoke with him at FitFest, and he was saying how you had to push his little tush to keep him going on some of the workouts. And I was like, wow, Emma Lawson, a compliment from the professor himself. So I think that like that just speaks to, how great you are as well, which is really cool.
Thanks. Yeah, that
Well,
was
Emma
fun.
Lawson, thank you so much for being on our show today. It was so good to catch up. You've been traveling, you've been doing all of these different things, and we hope all of the success for you this season.
Thank you very much.
Big thanks to Emma Lawson for taking the time to do that. And Lauren, I mentioned going in how I'm always impressed at just the level of maturity and composure that she shows. What were your main takeaways from that 40-minute conversation that you had?
Honestly, like you said, she has such a good head on her shoulders. And I think always remembering that she was one of the only athletes that competed at the CrossFit Games that was still going to school in person, not homeschooled. Like she was still living that normal high school life and going to prom and going to graduation and all of those other things while still being able to finish second at the CrossFit Games.
Yeah.
That what can we expect from her now? Like if that's what we saw at her then, that just hypes me up and gets me so excited because she's somebody that is still so young and she has such a long training career in front of her. Like from the athlete perspective, she's incredibly marketable. Tommy, you were talking about some of the fun things that she recently did with Podium and Buttery Bros and just seeing more of her personality. And I mean, this girl has it all, in my opinion.
Yeah, they released that Grand Theft Auto style reel of Martins Licis getting to the Lambo, and he's like walking through this like mansion in Miami, and he comes up to Emma Lawson and like tries to shove her, and she grabs him by the head and like slams it into a barbecue.
I missed that.
Oh my god, it's so good.
I gotta see this.
He knocks out Heber looking like riffraff, and then he throws Matt Fraser out of the Lambo, but it's all done in like Grand Theft Auto style, and it's obviously Martine, so it's hilarious.
That guy's a character.
Yeah, is the best.
I'm so glad. Like this upcoming Arnold Strongman Classic with Leetz's coming back, and it's going to be awesome. So, yeah. But really enjoyed the conversation, and I'm with you, Lauren. I think for her, she's one of those athletes. It's like it's a matter of when, not if. But she's going to probably
don't sleep on Emma Lawson.
I'm not. You've been beating that drum for a while, and you even mentioned that to her that story that Brent Fikowski told about what happened at was it Fit Fest?
He's beating the drum. He's saying, "Don't sleep on her."
He's not. He's not a dumb man.
Who? Oh yeah. Sorry.
He knows what he's talking about. So we will certainly listen to him. Okay, that is going to do it for today. Anything else we need to get to before we sign off and let the good people get about their lives?
What does I have? One note. Games tickets are on sale now.
Yes.
If affiliates, it opened yesterday or today.
I think it was yesterday.
So public, open to the public starts on Monday. Some tickets have already been up for sale. The RV campings have been on sale for a while. So the Reliant Club, which was like the equivalent of the Madison Club, the tickets are only for access into the Dickies Arena,
which is, I hear, is gorgeous, by the way.
Yeah, beautiful. And that is going to be the only ticketed aspect of the competition, is entrance into competition for that. Awesome. Otherwise, you get to be able to get the festival experience for free, which is pretty cool overall. But,
okay.
I don't know. Did you guys have any PRs or no reps?
No, I think we took care of that earlier this week. Although, Lauren, you're getting ready to travel again.
I am. I am going to just north of Austin, Texas, for the Fittest Experience. TFX is this weekend.
All right. Yep. And you'll have that on social media for them and on
athlete interviews, little recaps, things like that.
Stay up to date on that.
Yeah.
Looking forward to seeing it.
That's is it in Austin, Fittest Experience? Or is it?
It's actually past Round Rock.
Round Rock.
I cannot speak today. It's past Round Rock.
Fail English? That's impossible.
Yeah, that's impossible.
It's the one class I passed.
There you go. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Kind of a high on the list of must-have qualifications for your line of work. Yeah.
I feel like
I had tutors all the time. So
hey,
if you work hard enough.
Every good animated series has a joke about that.
They do.
Like, dear in English, Bobby, you speak English.
It's like when my JV football coach harangued a kid by the name of, I love this guy, he's a great dude, by the name of Ron Sanchez, because he was ineligible for our game because he got a D in Spanish.
Oh my God.
Sanchez, come on.
Oh my God.
How do you get a D?
And even then, like, let's be honest, high school Spanish isn't very hard.
No, I passed it.
There you go. All right. Well, what do we got coming up? We do have Jack Farlow coming up, right?
We do. We have Jack Farlow.
So we'll talk to the other half there.
Yep. We have Jack Farlow coming up next week.
Sam Quant coming up later in the week.
We're trying to get, we're still trying to track down Jimmy Letchford from Go Ruck, president of Go Ruck, to talk about that partnership. So a lot of stuff coming. And, of course, Open Talk is coming soon as well. And then we're into the season and full speed ahead. So,
don't blink.
Lauren, have a safe trip. Have a great time down there. Looking forward to seeing how that competition goes. Tommy, good luck with your qualifiers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm hurting right
now.
Go
rest your body.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for hanging out. Thanks for listening. For Tommy Marquez and Lauren Khalil, I am Sean Woodland. Take care of each other. Be better. And we will talk to you guys next time.